Okay, in this video we're going to talk about saving, autosave, and then a way to narrow down and see just your stories in progress. So the best practices in blocks are to always make sure that you are saving and closing. Don't just close your browser window with the story still open. The best practice is always to click that save and close when you have a story open in your browser. So make sure you're doing that every time, and hopefully this won't be an issue for you, but I'm going to show you what autosave looks like. So in a case where, say, I was writing my story and my browser crashed, then that can be a scenario where you weren't able to save your story with save and close, but this is what happens. So I'm going to make this change so we can see it. So I'm not going to save, and I'm just going to close my tab here just to make sure that, pretend like my browser crashed. And so then when I bring it back and I go back to my blocks, and it triggers when I get into editorial assets, you see this box pop up. So in this case, then I just lost my last change. I know that I was the last person. It's just 2 seconds later that I came back in to recover it. So I'm going to click on it and click restore. And I'm going to see that everything that I had done, my change, is still there. So I'll go ahead and save that, and that becomes my story. So even if I had written 5 paragraphs, those would stay and I could save it and it would recover it. So if there's a scenario though where you closed your browser with the story still open, maybe your editor unlocked it for you and edited it and sent it to the ice desk, and it could even be published, and it could even be days later that that window pops up again. So we're going to talk about that scenario. So I'll make another change. I'm going to close this window and then bring it back. So say it's the next day, you've seen your story on the site already, you've actually like tweeted it out or something, so you know it's published, and you get this box. Okay, and if you can't tell what story it is, you can kind of expand out your title to see kind of what's going on there. But in this case, you are going to select it, click restore, and then immediately hit cancel. So don't do anything else, just go straight to cancel. And do you want to save these changes before closing, and select no. If in that scenario it's already published on the site, you open that, that is the last version that you had open. So that means that any changes that were there with changes that the copy desk made, changes in sections, changes in flags that are on it, all of that would get lost and it could unpublish from the site. So make sure you select that restore and then immediately cancel and no. So let's just look at those scenarios again. You were the last person editing it. It's within the last few minutes that you went in to recover it. Then you can reopen the auto save version, save it, keep working on your story. But in the case where the story was moved to another workflow, edited by your editor, or is otherwise published on the site, you need to select the file, click restore, and then click cancel on the story and select no, do not save changes. So those are then steps, and that should prevent the box from continuing to pop up for you. So you want to make sure you resolve this. If you ever have any questions, then talk to the GA editor or come to my office to figure out what's going on with your stories. But best practices, always save and close. Don't leave a story open in your browser. Don't close your laptop with the story open. Make sure you're always saving and closing when you are working on a story. That's really important for you to narrow that down. So any questions about autosave, please ask someone before you do it so that we don't unpublish stories or revert all the changes that were there previously. So the other tip I'm going to give you is you can see that in our assets we have, we're approaching 300,000 assets in our content management system, and so it's often difficult to see where your stories are, find what you were working on. So here is my tip for that. If you go, you'll see a folder down here under Save Searches called Shared by Stevens Eliz, and you'll want to expand that, hit the plus sign, and scroll down to find the Reporters Click Here button. So if you double click that, and then up here in the search bar, you will go down here to Author, and you can search and find yourself. So you'll want to hit Stevens. I'll select Elizabeth, select User, search again. And here, if I click the plus sign, then I can save that and say that's my search name, my articles. So that shows you only the stories that are in the work in progress workflow, so it won't show you anything published. It'll just show you what you've been working on at that time. Once you've created that, I think I have one already named that, search, you can come down here into your own searches, and if you click the star on that, then that becomes the default search. So anytime you open blocks, then that's what you would see automatically. To do a larger search to find something else, you would need to click the reset button on the search. So that's an option for you if you would like to narrow down what you can see in your view. That's all for this video. Again, reminders about autosave, I'll leave that up for a second.